Welcome to Home Organizing for Beginners. I'm Tammy, your home organizing educator. So, in each episode, I share a microscopic home organizing topic. That just means it's something you can implement today from start to finish if you so choose. Today's microscopic home organizing topic is how to organize your garage in 3 steps, even though it's not your space to organize. As a mom looking for a fresh start in her home organizing journey, you want to be set up for lasting home organizing solutions, right? That means you'll have to do something different than you've done before or what society tells us. Instead of waiting until your husband has time to organize the garage, you can manage it with 3 steps that you put on repeat until the job is done. In this episode, I share why you should organize the garage, even if it's not your space, and how to make it happen. If the garage is your space, that's great because these steps are going to help you as well. So let's talk about why you should organize the garage, even if it's not your space. Let's think about it. When you dive into organizing someone else's space, like the garage, they'll be more likely to come and help because they're going to be afraid that you're going to throw out all of the stuff that's important to them. You'll also feel proud that you tackled something so big and out of your element. It'll be easier to keep organized going forward, and it'll be something you can delegate to someone else, like your husband. Most of all, and I think this is the most important one, you will have a feeling of peace as soon as you drive into the garage. Instead of feeling a little bit frustrated at the chaos or the mess before you even step in the house, you'll have a little bit more peace about it. Okay, so we're going to dive right into the 3 steps on how to organize your garage. Organizing the garage really is like any other space you organize. It's typically much bigger and it has a lot of stuff spread all over the place. You fit your cars in there, but you might have stuff leaning against the wall or stacked up or shoved way to the front of the garage. It doesn't really have these easily definable spaces either. Not normally. So step 1, we are going to break it down. Break down the garage into bite-sized spaces. I know I just said that it doesn't have really easily definable areas, but that doesn't mean that you can't create that definition. The key to finishing is starting strong and building momentum along the way. You want these bite-sized pieces so you can do that. Garages usually have some type of logical breakdown by use, but if it's not your space, you might not know what that use is, but that's okay. And you're going to understand in step 2 and 3 why that's okay. So for our garage, we have some storage, but mostly it's where we park our cars. It's where the pets have their outside homes. Our cat Patches, he has a bed and his food. It's all up on this shelf right where you're walking into our house. He is really messy. I had no idea how messy he was. And we have it up high because sometimes skunks come into the garage and they will dig in the bin to eat his food, right? And we don't want a skunk in the garage. Trust me, if you've ever had that, you don't want it to happen again. So, in thinking about this whole thing, his area really could just be an extension of the mudroom going into the house. So, I kind of like having these conversations with you guys because I get these different, fresh ideas. So, that's something I'm going to have to think about and maybe make some changes to so his space gets cleaned more often and done by someone other than me. Okay, back to the task at hand. You're organizing your garage, starting by breaking it down into bite-sized spaces. Start with a small space, perhaps a shelf within a cabinet. Just pick one to get started. This isn't a task of dissecting the entire garage. You pick your space as step 1 of 3 and then put them on repeat as you move through your garage. This works because you're able to learn from what you're doing and deciding and move forward from there, mimicking the things you've already done. This will become more clear as we talk through the next steps. So step 2, sort and organize. You've selected the space you're going to tackle. It's a small one. Now you're going to sort and organize it. You are reviewing what is there. Obvious things that can go in the trash, you're going to throw away. I usually roll in the garbage dumpster from outside into the garage for ease of use and to reduce taking time to walk back and forth. Basically, you'll shift the things around on the shelf so that like items are grouped together. Paints can be in one area. Maybe there's a couple of different insect killers. If it's ants or bees or whatever, maybe that can go together on the shelf. Perhaps you have a tool chest. Any tools that you find sitting in that shelving, move them to the tool chest. If there are spaces where things belong and they are in the garage, move them to where they belong. If they are outside of the garage, start a move pile. Instead of walking into the house and putting, let's say there's pens or markers or something that you came across and you're like, well, I'm going to put these in the house. Instead of taking the time to do that and risking getting interrupted or sidetracked or distracted, go ahead and just set yourself up a pile that you're going to move to where it belongs once you get to the right point in time. So that shelf is as it should be right now, right? You've gone through everything, you've sorted it, you've kind of organized it, grouping like items together, and now you can move on to the next small space, right? Wrong. There's one more step in this process, and it's one that will help you sustain the work you're doing today. So, step number 3 is sustain. This is the step that is often missed in the organizing world. In order to stop the hamster wheel of home organizing, where you organize the same spaces over and over and over again, you have to document your expectations and what needs to happen in order to keep it the way it is or even improve it. So, step 3 is sustain. Get out a notebook or use your phone to make note of what you want to see going forward. For example, you could label the shelf so that the things get put back in the right place. Don't overcomplicate it. Use masking tape or something like that as a label. You're expecting people to put things where they belong, including you. Next, if you want the space cleaned regularly, you have to write down what needs to happen. If I go back to my cat and his space on the shelf, I'm expecting this area to be swept off and wiped down once a week, maybe once every other week. If that's not on the chores list, which it's not for me, it isn't going to get done, or it'll get done by me at some point, but not weekly, that's for sure. And normally it's just going to be when I get to the point where I'm fed up with it or something like that. Did you know that when you dive into these steps, you're really able to follow them throughout your home organizing journey? I share all of the details and I support you along the way in my course called Home Organizing for Beginners. This is where you learn to create a solid foundation of home organizing, one that you can build on over time as your seasons of life change. I can say that when kids' shoes go from toddler sizes to adult sizes seemingly overnight, your storage method for their shoes needs to change. Home Organizing for Beginners teaches you how to get started, get organized, and ultimately stay organized. I'll drop a link in the show notes for you to sign up. I hope this episode truly helps you get started and get that garage organized. Thanks so much and have a great day.